invocation. We'll start with Laura Lee. Please say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Martin.
Dear Father in heaven, thank you for all that thou hast done for us and for allowing us to meet here today. And we just pray that you could be with each one of us and just guide the decisions that are made here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
We now call the meeting together. Ms. Connie, would you do the roll call, please?
I will. J.P. Beaton?
Here.
J.P. Olson?
Here.
J.P. Farrell? Here. J.P. Johnson?
Here.
J.P. Phillips?
Here.
J.P. Hicks?
Here.
J.P. Mack? Here. J.P. McNeely?
Here.
J.P. Hall?
Here.
J.P. Crawford?
Here.
J.P. Howerton?
Here. Next item of business is disposition of the journal proceedings. None in additions or corrections, and entertainment. Move to adopt. Chuck?
I move to adopt.
Second. Marty Johnson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item of business is changes to agenda. Do we have any? Chuck?
Judge, I'd like to pull letters A and B from the agenda, please.
Is there a second to that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item of business is public comments. You have 3 minutes to address your concern one time. Wait, raise your hand to be Judge Williams.
Thank you very much for the time. I said last year, just asked about an ordinance of something to property owners' rights to protect the road department from egressing upon our fences. On my county roads, very light, just coming here today, the road grader was there, and it already right up to within 2 feet of one of my neighbor's property coming here. Something needs to be done to protect the property owners of this county. This Quorum Court's always held in the past of strong ordinances or objections to them, such as a flood plan turned down years ago because of the government taking control of properties and telling them what to do. How about something just to protect the property owners? Also, one other thing, back in 2003, when I first started coming to Quorum Court meetings, public participation was highly appreciated by the Quorum Court, the JPs here. We had the point where you wanted to bring up and talk about something. Also, prior to any vote or close of a topic on the agenda, before it was voted on by the Quorum Court, it would be allowed for the public to comment on that topic. Public participation in government. I would appreciate if the Quorum Court would start putting that on the agenda to welcome participation by the public again, the citizens, into the county government.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. You got 3 minutes. State your name.
Lisa Priceback, Carroll County. I want to remind the Quorum Court that in 2012 you passed the ordinance, actually it was November 2011, the Carroll County Comprehensive Land Use Management Plan Code, commonly known as the Carroll County Land Heritage Plan. I want you to take that horse out of the barn ASAP, contact Arkansas Natural Resource Commission, Bruce Holland, the Land Resource Specialist. He is over the groundwater protection. I want you to contact the Arkansas Fish and Game Commission, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as this legacy mining LLC is in clear violation of the Clean Water Act as stipulated by ADEQ. There's sediment runoff going into an unnamed tributary of the Kills Creek, which the Kills Creek enters into the Kings River. And I have also contacted the Ozark Water Watch group out of Kimberly City in Rogers, Arkansas. They will be following the recourse of this. And one other item, Judge Barr and J.P. Howerton, did you not in 2012 appoint a land commissioner? It was my understanding at that time it would possibly be Dwayne Genero. Has he or is he still appointed as the land commissioner, that he can oversee any public hearings or meetings regarding this Legacy Land Mining LLC? This organization, I checked with the Arkansas Secretary of State. They are in good standing by using a resource holding company in Little Rock to manage their affairs, but they are an affiliate, a subsidiary of the 60 West Company, which is a huge investment holding corporation with over $700 million invested. They don't really care about what happens to our environment here in Carroll County, but we have to by enforcing the Carroll County Comprehensive Land Use Plan Management Code. Within this codification, you have a very vague paragraph about mining. Why? Because the county itself is involved in graveling and mining for the county roads. So I beg you to let the horse out of the barn and let her exercise. You get your appointed land commissioner involved in this. I want to see all these various agencies look at the watershed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward and state your name, please. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Christy Braswell. My husband and I own property that joins up to the Legacy Mining property. On August 6th of 2018, I came home to find a bulldozer from Geotechnology had trespassed on our private drive, took down pine trees, a property line fence, and left us a big muddy mess in this place. Weeks later, my husband had a conversation with Scott Moore and a geologist from Geotechnology. At that time, they promised to plant seeds and reset the fence, never apologizing for the trees that were lost there. Well, it's been almost a year later, and nothing has been done to fix the muddy eyesore on our property, which leads us to say that just because you're a big corporation doesn't leave you free to come in on private land and take down trees and fence lines and leave a path of destruction on property that wasn't yours. Frankly, I think you can tell a lot about a corporation's character when they don't keep their word on the little things. And Geotechnology has done nothing to this day to fulfill the promise of resetting our private property. For me, this leaves a question of their character and of their integrity. If we can't believe them on the small things, how do we trust them on the big things? Also, during the conversation in 2018, the geologist asked about the depth of our well and the surrounding wells of the community, voicing a concern about the water tables and the filtration rates of the water that goes down through the karst system. Well, it's my time to voice our concerns. As property owners, we're worried about what's going to be the future of our water wells in this community. And will that water table remain stable as they're using water for drilling and quarrying? What's going to happen to our property values? Are we going to have noise and air pollution as they quarry next door to us? And what about our county roads? Can they handle the weight of these trucks taking in and out of that quarry? Rockhouse Road is not constructed for that type of heavy equipment. My husband and I have owned our mountain in the beautiful valley of Rockhouse Road for 25 years. So we are now asking from you for diligence to be given in the protection of our land, our air, our water, and our community.
Thank you. Good report of law. If you remain doing that, I'll ask the sheriff to remove you. Raise your hand quietly, you'll be respected quietly. Who's next? This lady back here had her hand up first.
Is there a microphone here? Doesn't matter. My name is, okay.
My name is Joanne Golick, and I'm co-owner of 22 acres right across the way from where Legacy Mining purchased the 629 acres of land. And we had opened back in 2003 as the open air meditation sanctuary on 11 acres that we own, where people come to enjoy the peace, to come to the pond to picnic, to eat their lunches, to associate with other people. And they come to meditate, to pray, just to get their lives together. Since Legacy started their, I don't know what they're doing down there. It sounds like muffled explosions are going on. There's also trucks running up and down the road all the time, and there's drilling going on. My concerns are with the environment. What's happening to the environment in this area? We also have retreat houses on our property where people come for the peace and quiet and being in nature and to enjoy that. And this whole section, not only my property but all the way up to the Kings River, this is a place where people come to hike, to canoe, to boat, to do different things that are, I would say, in conjunction with the natural state. Arkansas is, touted as being the natural state. How natural is it to have drilling and noise consistently in an area where it shouldn't be? So my concern is with the environment, the water. We have an 800-foot well that goes down and to the Ruby-Doo aquifer. What is it doing to this? It's my understanding that they're using plastics to explode, underneath the land. Is that affecting the water table? There has been runoff and silt into a tributary from the Keels Creek, and essentially this whole thing is affecting the property, the land value, the business, and the sanctuary. That's a part of the community. Everybody comes to the sanctuary, not only from Eureka Springs, but from Kansas, from Oklahoma, from Missouri. Everybody comes down to experience that part of Eureka Springs. So I would just ask you to please research this, find out what are they doing in this area. This isn't a quarry, it's not a mining area, there are homes all around like you just heard, and our home. And you'll hear from more people who live right there. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Come forward now.
Thank you for your time. I'm Valerie Hubbard-Damon. My husband Dave and I put our life savings into our property off Rock House Road, CR 3027 and the OMS Road. We overlook the Kings River and beautiful Berryville and the Nature Conservancy and live off the grid with solar electricity, spring water, and composting toilets. After 35 years, the peace is gone. Land values will fall. I hear the drilling all day, except when it rains. They even drilled all day Saturday and Sunday, except for an hour lunch break. I'm worried about our spring, our source of water, and our health. My hope is that we can convince Legacy to create an eco-friendly endeavor like Rockspire and consult with experts like Pat Costner to develop without trashing our community and have them stop destroying the tourist, retirement, and farming community of Eureka Springs and Berryville. I hiked through the pits today to where I hear them drilling and where we can hear them talking, and I found these core samples on the ground. and they've been drilling for 6 weeks. I'm just so upset that it's gonna ruin our community, and I just hope you can help stop this. Thank you.
Thank you. Back.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Mike Shaw. I was lucky enough to buy Wayne Hall's farm in the Kings River Valley where Keels Creek meets the Kings River. Last week on Ozarks Today at the Buffalo River State National Park, they spoke about the need for economic development to be hand in hand with conservation. In the last several years, Arkansas has welcomed 30 million visitors. 25% of them come to Northwest Arkansas. Each year, Arkansas spends $150 to $160 million to encourage tourists and retirees to come to the natural state. The current advertising campaigns highlight the natural beauties of the specific small towns and areas in the state. The unique natural beauty of Arkansas is being promoted by the state in the United Kingdom, Australia, and Asia. Last fall, 1,500 birders came to Stuttgart to see seldom seen birds rest over. Arkansas spends a lot of money to bring a lot of business here because people want to escape the visual noise and the water pollution that surrounds most areas of the United States. The Natural State campaigns, which brought in $8 billion last year, are being reinforced by Alice Walton, who has spent over $1 billion on Crystal Bridges Art Museum and other art, music, and educational venues in Northwest Arkansas. Her grandsons, Tom and Stuart, are well on their way to spending millions of dollars to make Arkansas's natural state the #1 mountain biking destination. Let's be straight about this deal that we're involved in here. It's an investment package. If I give them $1 and I can afford to wait 10 years, whatever I make on the dollar I spend is not going to be taxed under the capital gains law. Now, the opportunities to invest in poor areas don't include this area here. If they want to build low-cost, passive solar housing for Tyson's workers, that's a different deal, as long as we don't use too much energy or make too large a house. But this is a small place, and this is just an investment opportunity for people who have the money to wait 10 years to not pay taxes on what they make.
Thank you, your time's up.
Thank you very much.
Next. Come forward.
Thank you for your time. My name is Jim Culp at Broome. We don't live here yet. We're building a house on the road that's being in question about the drilling. But I was raised in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and if you've ever been there, that's a very flat, not a pretty area like this. This is a beautiful, beautiful country. And the reason we're here is because when I was a 22-year-old kid, my first job out of college was working in the Ozark Mountains. And coming from Pine Bluff, I'd never seen rocks, never seen mountains, and not a lot of trees. And I fell in love with the area that you folks are fortunate enough to live in. Our house is going to be completed in about 4 months. My wife and I have lived in many major cities around the United States, Chicago, Dallas, all over. And we've been to 49 of the 50 states, and we chose here to make our final chapter of our lives because it is so beautiful and the people are so friendly. So when we found visiting in Eureka Springs, my wife picked up a local paper and she saw an ad for land for sale. We've been looking all over the Ozarks, couldn't find anything. We immediately went out and saw it within 2 hours, and within a week made a bid. We've got the 26 acres there that the house is being built on. So this is a dream come true for us. I mean, my wife and I, it's a dream come true. This is a lifelong dream, a 50-year dream. our final chapter is here. We want it to be here. And so I would ask that anybody that has any power in this room that can do something about this county that's possibly jeopardizing our lives and our land, is please don't let them take our dream away.
Thank you. Who's next? Come forward.
Thank you for the opportunity for letting me speak today.
Thank you.
My name is Pat Costner, and I've lived a little bit north of Eureka for 45 years. And I've been here, and I know many of you, and we've been through a lot together. But what I've come today to do is just simply share some information with you. Now, I have with me this 40-page report, which I didn't want to burden your briefcases and packages with, so I can email this to you, if easily, and then you will have a copy. But this is a report by the U.S. Geological Survey on the environmental impacts of quarrying stone in karst, the karst terrain that we have. Now, what they have said in this report was summary of effects and impacts of various human activities on karst terrains, effects and impacts from quarrying, effects, loss of habitat, impacts on karst, impoverished ecology, effect, increased sediment discharge, impact, sedimentation of caves, water quality deterioration, wastewater discharge, effect, impact, water quality deterioration, rock and mineral extraction, rainfall destruction, water table lowering, sinkhole collapse, and the drying up of springs. These are all effects and impacts that the USGS has identified with the quarrying in karst terrain. Now, just for a few little highlights, it said nothing like this can be done without causing some environmental impacts. So quarrying has an associated, often dramatic, visual impact. Karst terrain is commonly considered to be a high scenic value, thus compounding the effects of visual impacts of quarrying. One gentleman, Stanton, published a study who suggested that limestone has more value in situ, where it is, as a source of water, and for its scenic value, than as a source of crushed stone, and recommended extraction of limestone altogether to be stopped. So thank you.
Anyone else? Come forward. State your name, please.
My name is Jesse Smith. I live in Eureka, and I moved down here 2 years ago to take care of my brother, who was the final stages of Lyme disease. He passed away a couple months ago. I am 1/3 beneficiary of his will. The other 2/3 goes to the Arkansas Sheriff's Youth Ranch, which is an orphanage. And thank God for that. He'd go over in his grave right now to think what's happening. There's been a fire cell on the environment right now that's going on that everybody is doing. Basically, this is not a good situation. Just so some corporation can come in here and extract some type of profits, that's supposed to be acceptable? When this whole county is a tourist destination, particularly Eureka Springs. I will be there for the rest of my life. I love this community. The people here are just wonderful. And I would never in my wildest dream think that some corporation is gonna come in here and destroy the water quality. And this is what's gonna happen. It's happened time and time again. And many of these corporations who come in with operations like this have left without cleaning up the mess, partially because it can't be cleaned up. They can make the mess, but are they gonna be responsible for it? I don't think so. I think that this whole thing is a travesty, and this corporation has no right in destroying this beautiful area that people from all around, from outside of the country come to see Eureka and the surrounding area. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Come forward and state your name, please.
John Turner, Varsity Ministries Center, 992 County Road 309. Our property's value as a Christian retreat center depends in great part on the health of the environment around it. Our southern view overlooks the Keels Creek Valley. Our eastern view overlooks the Kings River Valley. Our guests often hike a circuit around County Roads 309, 329, and 306, and back to 309. They are spiritually and emotionally enriched by the hike. They say they feel closer to God. We're so grateful that the Nature Conservancy has been working to protect the environment to our south and east. Our guests sometimes drive or hike in the surrounding areas, and the Kings River has been a place where we've even performed baptisms. What I'm saying is that lives have been changed in numerous positive ways by this lovely environment, and the cost of losing its high quality would be great indeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward and state your name.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Stephanie Lambert Children, and I'm probably a rarity. I'm a sixth-generation native of Eureka Springs. And I have lived in Winona Hollow for 26 years. I own 34 acres that's adjoining the 629 acres purchased by Legacy Mining. And I have great concern on how the drilling and mining is going to affect several year-round springs that we have on my property. And I also have, unfortunately, I have to let people know, a very nice cave on our property that I'm really worried about too. And also, we were on a spring water on our house when we first moved there, and then after several years, we drilled a well, and we ended at 858 feet. That's quite a deep well. I just ask that y'all please keep my concerns and all of my neighbors' concerns in mind when you're making any kind of decision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Come forward and state your name.
My name's David Reuter, and lived here about 30 years, and I live on 3027, the same road, gravel road that comes off Rock House. So I can't say any more than what my neighbors have said, but that we're concerned about our well as well. It's 550 foot deep and hits that aquifer. I don't know if it'll change it or not, but I sure don't want it to. The other thing that was mentioned before was the roads and the traffic and the impact that that's going to have. I don't know how bad it will be, but I'm sure it can't be good. Huge trucks coming down that road. And in fact, 3 weeks ago, my daughter and my wife were heading up. I'm sure most of you have been up Rock House, the hill that goes up from the valley up to the top is very steep and curvy, used to call it Cedar Hill. I've gone off in the wintertime off the side. There's been a couple of neighbors that have gone off the road, hit trees, just barely missing going down the big valley. And just a few weeks ago, my daughter and my wife were driving up, and a guy come down the hill. It was like a, I don't know, Ford 750 or 750 2 or 3 ton truck. Lost control on the right-hand side of the road, hit the ditch, pulled out of the ditch, came across the road, and hit the tree right in front of my wife and daughter that were coming up the hill. Spun him around, slammed into her car, totaled her car. It was the first car and anyway, it's not a good road for big trucks. So I appreciate anything you could do to stop this thing. I agree with everything else that's been said. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward and state your name.
I came here to really listen, but I can't help it. I have to say something. My name's Eric Shellwater, and I live in Eureka Springs, been here about 25 years. Everything I think that I've heard, I agree with, and there's no reason for me to say it all over again. I think you kind of all have heard a lot of the things that you're concerned about. But I would like to share something with you that you haven't heard. In 1962, I moved from the north to the south. I went to Florida. And I moved to a town that nobody had ever heard of. And the skies were black at night. And you could see the stars even standing in the middle of the river in this town. You could smell the orange groves. And then somebody had an idea to do something. And it was all brought up before the courts and all the people. And of course, the money won, and the company came to town. The town went from, in my time, which I lived there, from 80,000 and the surrounding area to 2.8 million. One decision did that. Let's bring Disney to town. One decision in this room can impact a horrendous number of people and things that we haven't even thought about. It's in your hands. I don't know much about the law, but I think it is. So, act wisely. And don't think of the shortcoming. Please. I don't like the sky being black at night. I don't like seeing them dusty. I don't like seeing them noisy. I moved away from all of that Mickey Mouse stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. You're next, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name. Oh, did I say mine?
My name is David Damon. I live out County Road 3027. Had property there for 35 years. I talked to a driller that was drilling on that property about 3 weeks ago. He told me that they found limestone down 100 feet. I said, can you get to the limestone? He said, sure, we just take the overburden off and then we get down to the limestone. So Matt Mills, one of the principals of Legacy Mining, stated or said that they do not use any dynamite or any blasting in their mining. So I talked 2 or 3 years ago, I talked to Lowell Johnson at Ozark Southern Stone, and we were talking about the mining, and he said, well, the way we get the overburden off, he says, since it's so porous, and we can't use that expandable liquid that we use when we get into solid limestone, he said, what we do is we blast. That's how we get that loose stuff off the top. And so Matt Mills must be misspoken on that point. Another point of this is that that area is honeycombed with caves, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? Haven't you spoke once, ma'am?
Not tonight.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Many
I'm
times
sorry.
before.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Faith Shaw, and my issue is noise. I have a hearing condition, and if a mine came near my home, I would have to move. And I feel terrible for the people who are living there and having to hear this. Imagine if you all had this beautiful piece of peace and quiet, which is why most of us retired here if we're retired, to have to listen to incessant drilling. I called the sheriff 3 weeks ago because someone somewhere is blasting. And it's literally right near the Kings River. And what I've learned from people is that one incorrect blast, we could lose the river. We could lose the river. It could open up in this karst terrain, and we would not have a Kings River. I don't think that's worth the risk. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, thank you guys. My name is Shauna Miller, and I live on County Road 323, and I've been here, I grew up here, I grew up in Eureka Springs. You've seen me a few times, but it was a long time ago. I used to work for the Kings River Watershed Partnership, so I worked for about 6 years just trying to protect the Kings River. So my concern is, of course, with my property values, but also with the Kings River itself. And as you'll see on the maps later, this does border the Kings River, and also, of course, any sediment coming off of it is going into the two creeks that are also moving into the Kings River. These are coming in at Keels Creek, which of course is going to be affecting all those people that you see in the water below the 6th Bridge would all be swimming in that. So anything below Keels Creek, which would be Berryville on down, would definitely be feeling those impacts. I'm sure you guys remember the Kings River is an extraordinary resource waterway, so we have a little bit of extra protections on it. And so these guys, as hopefully as you've read in the paper, they've already have one violation against them. So ADQ has already given them one violation. Now, I assume that they knew going in before they start drilling, you know you're going to create a sediment problem. If you're a professional driller, if you're professional at what you do, you know what the impacts are going to be. They knew what the impacts were going to be, and then they proceeded without protecting the environment on purpose, guys. These guys cannot be trusted. They could have taken really simple measures like our road department does, like our contractors have to do, and they didn't take any of those procedures, and instead they went ahead and drilled, and then they just let the sediment go down the creek. So these people cannot be trusted. If our contractors have to follow those rules, and our own builders have to follow those rules, why do these guys not? So if they can't, as somebody said earlier in the beginning, if they can't be trusted just to do the exploratory drilling, how can we trust them in the future when they're doing something big? So I thought we should do a super quick picture of what you guys might not have been. I don't know how many of you guys have been in our area, but this is the mountain top that they bought, and this is where we all live. So this isn't like flatland area. So if they bought this and cut this off, all of us down here, including the Kings River, which is going right here, are going to be really, really, really majorly affected. So this isn't flat, we have a quarry, no problem. This is mountain, quarry, huge problem. So,
Thank you, your time's up. Is anyone else? Come forward and speak your name.
My name is Peter Latona. I live at 268 County Road 3027, and the entryway to the property is pretty much across the street from us. some of you might know us as also the Open Air Meditation Center. I certainly echo all the environmental concerns and support that. A couple of unique concerns for us is we have a 10-acre, not 501(c) nonprofit meditation center with 1 mile of walking trails open to the public on donation basis. That doesn't seem like it would be much of a meditation center with a quarry going on. And it would also greatly affect the livelihood of the people at 266 and 268 County Road 3027 because their income, Heidi Estrella, is basically based on an Airbnb business that she uses to support the sanctuary. So in other words, not only are we facing potential loss of income and maybe even a business that would not be able to exist because who wants to stay in a place with blasting, et cetera. But we also lose something that's right now, on a donation basis to all the tourists of Eureka Springs, citizens of Eureka Springs that have this beautiful 10-acre nonprofit walking trail to come out there, and we get a lot of activity out there, and it just doesn't seem like it would be all that popular if there was trucks barreling up and down our road on a consistent basis, along with all the other activities associated with the quarry. So I just wanted to add that to the mix if it hasn't already been added. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your concerns. I think it's time we moved on to miscellaneous. Marty Johnson, would you like to introduce your guest?
Yeah, Chris Fisher contacted me about this proposed board probably 3 weeks ago, and he's gonna provide some information on it.
I gave Mr. Johnson a packet of information that you might be able to follow along with me, so I can do this quickly. My name is Christopher Fisher. I'm a concerned citizen residing within the Winona Township. I'd like to express gratitude and appreciation for the support of J.P. Marty Johnson to assist concerned citizens of Winona Township. I'm really grateful for him to sponsor my participation tonight. I'd also like to thank Harry Farrow, the J.P. for Eureka Springs, who has encouraged folks to approach the Quorum Court for support on this issue. I'd also like to thank George Myers for his hospitality to accommodate 40 concerned citizens who quickly gathered at his Roxfire property for a quickly organized informational meeting back on January 6th. I also appreciate the growing number of folks who are wishing to speak publicly about their concerns and have done so tonight. This is very gratifying to see so many people taking the time and effort to come to this meeting. A story unfolds. This is a basic timeline of events and information that presents a picture of several property acquisitions and an ongoing development activity by a quarry operation. I share this information as a private citizen and believe that this information is factual and suggest that I'm exercising the First Amendment to share what I believe in good faith to be true. In other words, this is not testimony. I am not legally qualified nor some form of expert to share this information. I do so in good faith and stand to be corrected if that is necessary. This is a basic timeline of the events, and it starts with a publication of public notice in the Carroll County newspaper by Legacy Mining in September 25th, and it indicates that 5 notice of intent to quarry documents have been filed to ADQ for 5 quarries, which have a date of October 1st, 2018. This is a public notice that's published on the 25th, and the group is claiming that they have submitted documents on October the 1st. So there's a little discrepancy right there. They have not submitted the documents prior to publication, but they're going to. Okay. They indicate that these quarries will begin operation in July 2019. I've included a copy of this publication in your packet. It's just a copy of the print that the newspaper made. The contact for this notice is a gentleman named Scott Moore with an address of 151 Hobbit Lane in Eureka Springs. This is the current address of Ozark Southern Stone on Elk Ranch. Property owners within a half mile of this proposed quarry may send a letter to ADEQ requesting a public meeting with Legacy, the actual owner, within 10 days, which would have been by October 10th of 2018. I have a typo there. So written request to ADEQ by 5 owners may or may not have occurred. I don't know that anyone actually saw this publication, contacted anybody, or communicated with ADEQ to request such a meeting. I can't state that actually happened. Okay, so the property purchases. There was a purchase of 8 parcels by Legacy Mining LLC in Elk Ranch. They're currently listed as 5 LLCs of ownership by the Carroll County Clerk. This includes the historic quarry established in the 1880s, formerly the Eureka Stone Quarry, purchased by Larry Johnson and sold to Legacy Mining LLC and currently operating as Ozark Southern Stone. These property sales occurred between December of 17 and June of 18. 5 notice of intent documents are submitted to ADEQ on October the 23rd. This is following what would have been a public meeting. ADEQ processed those documents, and the mining division issued 5 authorization to quarry permits to 5 quarry permit property owners: Variegated Properties, Dent Stone Quarry, Emerald Land Holding Quarry, Ozark Land Holdings Quarry, and CAZ Property Quarry. All 5 have mining division permit numbers in your packet here. To my understanding, there are no ADEQ Water Division applications or permits currently pending for any of these 5 newly authorized quarry sites. According to ADEQ, Water Division, they considered questions about the permit costs that mining related to Water Division. Water Division studied the initial NOI documents and encouraged the applicant to consider a single general permit. That has not occurred to my knowledge. I tried to check that with ADEQ today and was told by an engineer that that was likely the case then and likely remains the same now. That means that there is no pending application for a Water Division permit at the Elk Ranch site, as I know. There are also no known easements existing on the property. However, there has been a claim by Mr. Mills, the owner of Legacy Mining Company, that they've entered into some sort of a conservation easement with a group known as Atlantic Coastal Conservancy. I can't confirm that. It may be attached to the deed. It might have been filed with the city clerk, but I don't believe that that's available through the ACT data database online. Okay, so another acquisition. The purchase of the yard arguing 629-acre parcel was acquired by a company named WPS Eureka LLC, and I'm sorry I can't confirm this, but I believe there was another purchase by WPS Eureka Holdings LLC. Those 2 LLCs quickly transferred those properties on the same day to 3 new LLCs by name Trigger Gap LLC, Keels Creek Property LLC, and Shady Grove Property LLC. To my knowledge, those are all of the current owners. This occurred between September the 30th and December the 18th of 18. A notice of violation of the Arkansas Clean Air Water Act was issued to Keels Creek Property LLC, one of the 3 LLCs owning the 629-acre parcel, And that notice was addressed to Scott Moore of Woodstock, Georgia, who is a consultant operating contractor with Mr. Mills. He's also associated with some of the LLC activity at Elk Ranch. That was rendered to Mr. Moore on June the 5th by the Water Division. I've included a copy, I believe, of that document that you all can take a look at. To my knowledge, there are currently no applications for permits pending or permits issued by any division of ADEQ for this location. I also do not know of any existing easements on this property. I believe that the Y-Bargain sale went straight to WPS and these other new groups without any easement attached to the title. So to wrap this up and to make this clear to people here, the Rock House Road property, there is no permit. There is no oversight by ADEQ at this point, other than they're awaiting a response from Legacy Mining regarding the violation. They have not applied for any particular activity, including exploratory. ADEQ, though, in speaking with one engineer, is concerned about how exploratory could conceivably cause problems for the land. However, mining regulations do not require, to my knowledge, a permit or any sort of understanding by the contractor as to how they proceed to investigate the materials beneath the ground. So the concerns. Communicating information, for starters. Why hasn't Legacy Mining Company made a reasonable effort to explain what their plan is?
Time's up, sir, thank you.
That's 10 minutes already?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. If you have any questions for him.
My question is, what were some of your other concerns?
Without being redundant and referring to all the concerns that have already made their way to you, I would like to know what Legacy Mining has in mind. I don't understand why they haven't posted any information on their property with contact numbers so that we can communicate with them if we have a problem with what's going on. Other concerns have to do with the exploratory activity, how an operating quarry will affect our air quality, etc. I also wonder, like so many people, is a large-scale quarry really appropriate for this location?
Thank you. Next item of business.
Chuck had a question.
Huh?
Chuck had a question.
Chuck, I'm sorry, didn't see your hand.
Okay, I was just gonna say, is there any conceivable way that they can be stopped legally, by ADQ or anyone else? Or is this just basically gonna have to run its course and get into the courts down the line?
No, ma'am, we've already had your...
The Carroll County
You,
Comprehensive Land.
Sheriff, would you remove the lady causing problem?
I will remove myself, thank you.
Thank you.
You can enforce it. The
Thank you.
Carroll County Comprehensive Land Plan.
Thank you.
Carroll County Comprehensive Land Plan.
To answer your question, I really could not comment with confidence in a legal scenario. I would answer, though, that stopping the project, I think, is going to involve cooperation with the ADQ and this mining operation to come to some sort of reasonable terms that may be agreeable for such a project. I can't speak for this room that such a project is at all agreeable.
Thank you. Larry?
I sympathize with everybody here that has talked. But I want to remind everybody that you have a very large quarry sitting within a mile of your hospital, your jail, your DHS office, your health department, that is causing none of them any problem, if it's done right.
That's on a piece of flat land, is that correct? It's not on the hill, on top of the hill? with
No,
water
it's,
spring?
it's on Rock Crusher Hill.
It's on the hill, okay.
Just one quick, I've dealt with, one of the Elk Ranch for many, many years, and they have different systems and stuff going, but I was always understanding it, everything they do has gotta be approved of the mining commission and get a permit to do what they do back there. And I don't know where this company has dealt with the mining commission to find out if they get, because they, you know, we've had concerns back there in the years past, there's different companies in, you know, they kind of work with us, but, I don't know about where the mining commission has even looked into this, or whether they've got a permit through the mining commission.
Not yet.
They haven't?
No.
So that should be a violation, but like I said, we're kind of, I will look into it some. I don't know what grounds we have, legality, you know, to take on this alone. So I don't know, that just, it's gonna take some looking into.
Marty?
Well, my suggestion, I empathize with all y'all that are here. I wouldn't want it in my backyard either.
Yeah.
And I think the thing to do, it's my opinion, Quorum Court agrees, whatever, but, have a meeting, Carroll Electric in their community, and registered letters to these people who are in charge of these companies. Get them there and hold their feet to the fire. Why, what's up? And go from there. Is all I know to do. And if they don't have the proper permits and everything else, if nothing else, you can slow the process down and grind them to a halt, maybe not. But that would be my suggestion on how to start doing it. And I say contact the Mountain Commission and whoever else we can get hold of. Just send these guys registered letters, put it in the paper, have the press there. Because they wanted, these three top dogs wanted to make it Christopher now. Just buy those. And I know Christopher, we can't do it without the press. Because they'd be blowing smoke. And apparently that's all they do. I mean, they're gonna do what they wanna do, they think. But if their stuff up is, make a stink, you know, that's all we can do. But maybe that will, play by the rules anyway.
I'd just like to point out that the reason why the Quorum Court's hands are kind of, to some extent, tied, and I don't know how completely, with doing anything about it, is because we haven't passed any ordinances about what can be done in the county as far as property rights go. And I'd just like to throw that out there for consideration, because things will keep coming our way, because there's progress all around us. There's people with money wanting to capitalize on the beautiful thing we have here, and so we need to be thinking about how when we say anything goes, then we don't have the ability to stop anything from going.
All right.
Well, I was just gonna say, AD&Q, if they're not doing things right, can shut it down. They proved that, they shut down a whole farm a few days ago that wasn't doing anything wrong. It cost them $6.2 million, but they shut it down. So if these people aren't doing it and aren't doing it right, they can shut them down.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next item of business.
I'm sorry. We do have, Arkansas does have some of the best property right laws passed in the state. I'm sure we need to get an attorney, or you all have to get an attorney to look into that, because we do have some of the best laws, I've been told by the senators and stuff, in the state of Arkansas. So, and then I think you can file an injunction to stop all about anything, and they do it just Trump every day. So.
Thank you.
Mine.
Next item of business, Ms. Farrell, would you like to introduce your guest?
Yes, I've asked Nancy Panic, did I pronounce that right? Yes. To speak to us about the crisis stabilization unit that it's going to be an issue that's coming before the court tonight. Carroll County's been asked to enter into an agreement with Washington County. And I first heard about this about half a year ago when I met Ms. Kahanek, and I was very excited about this happening, and so I just thought it'd be a great opportunity to ask her to come tell us more about why this whole thing has happened and why it's important.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. This other issue is super important, and, bye, guys. But for us, in the past year or so, the crisis stabilization unit has been really important because law enforcement is kind of really been behind it, because they have to go out and if someone is disturbing the peace and there's no other remedy, they have to take that person to jail. And a lot of times they recognize sooner or later that that person has a mental illness or a mental condition that jail is totally inappropriate, but there isn't an alternative. So I don't know if you all are aware, but the governor signed a bill a couple years ago that would allow the crisis stabilization units in right now 4 different places, and he gave, I can't remember, several $1 million to get it started. So what it does is that Northwest Arkansas was one area that was approved by the governor, one of 4 areas in Arkansas, to have these kind of demonstration project for the unit. And so we've been working for a year or 2 years to actually make that manifest, and found the perfect building, which is used to be a juvenile detention center. There are 15 rooms, so that it will house 16 people at a time, and the law enforcement are the people who are going to bring the individual with mental problems into the unit, and they'll be assessed and all. It's voluntary, so that a person who has the choice by law enforcement to either go to jail or go to the crisis unit. So it's a beautiful space. They will have the ability, they'll have counselors there, and they'll have a staff 24/7. So they'll get help, and then they'll also be hooked in with, if they don't have medication, there'll be a pharmacy there, and medicine for when they leave, and then some follow-up. So the issue before you all tonight apparently is that we've got an interlocal agreement about whether you all would like to be able to use the unit. And Carroll County is one of the 4 counties that's set up, that's been designated to use it. So in our area, we've had over 500 law enforcement officers to take training, crisis intervention training, to be able to recognize, well, does this person have a mental illness? Because that's not a given. But going through this, it's a 40-hour program in Springdale. I don't know if have any of your officers had it too? That's good. I think they have like 500 in our, 2 counties who've taken it, because it's just been offered to Springdale and some through the state. So I know that, I'm pretty sure it's Springdale that has some trained officers, and they could provide that training for new law enforcement, local and, of course, county. So I'm really here because I thought you all might know a little bit about it, but I'd love to answer questions that things you might not know, so that you're more apt to understand what is going on with this unit and how it can be helpful to you all.
Any questions?
Do you have any, I've heard some history about what used to happen with mentally ill individuals when they were arrested and how it's changed over time and sort of created this problem. Do you know much about that?
Well, there's a deep history where, first, people were, at one time, people were released from mental institutions and released to the streets, and that certainly didn't work. And then, so the community mental health centers were developed as an answer to that, so that we'd have some mental health treatment. And I think those are guidances in Carroll County, right? And so they're a community mental health center. So that's, you know, kind of like the...
Kelly?
I have a lot of questions, actually.
Okay, good.
I went over on Wednesday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's a beautiful place, it's a wonderful idea. I took a lot of notes and I took pictures. So if anybody wants to see pictures, I've got them here on my phone. I think my biggest, well, I have a few concerns.
Yeah, sure.
My biggest is safety.
Yes.
Safety for our citizen that's transferred over there. Any procedures in plan for that in case one of the other people get mad, they throw a chair, they, you know, some guarantees that our people will be safe.
Well, nobody wants anyone to get hurt, and there will be people there at all times. They have special training, of course. Everyone is screened at the front end, and if there's someone that they think is not going to be safe for the milieu, they would not allow them in. You know, various things could happen. I know that we had talked about having like a law enforcement person around. I don't know how that has kind of ended up, but there are law enforcement all around.
How many, say if it was full capacity of 16 patients?
Yes, ma'am.
How many, is there a legal limit of how many workers are there for that 16 people?
That I do not know. I can find out for you, though.
Because if it's like 2 or 3 people, that would make me a little nervous. But if they had 5 or 6,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That many people to keep an eye on.
Right.
You know, like childcare, they've got to only have so many people.
Yeah, that's a great
So
question.
many children per person, and
Yeah.
kind of thinking along that line.
Right, and it is going to be fully staffed for all 3 8-hour periods. But I don't know how many that means. There's going to be, you know, an administrative person, there's going to be a nurse, doctors and social workers won't always be there, but they'll always be accessible.
There should be a 24-hour psychiatrist available.
Right, and that would be telemed probably on the TV, at least for part of the time. So what were your other questions? I can go to...
What about if, we might get into this part later, but like if we do this,
Mhm.
and it's a $40 fee for each patient that comes that we send
For
in
each day.
Each day.
I'm pretty sure I was reading that over. I
And
believe
they're
it.
able to decide they don't want to be there. They could be
Mhm.
there 10 minutes and say, I don't think this is for me.
Right.
So we're still billed that $40?
I doubt it. No, it has to be 24 hours.
They have to be there 24 hours before.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have to pay the over.
Correct. And of course, they are screened, and the police officer would not leave until everyone had decided that this was going to work.
That this was where they needed to be.
Yes, exactly. And that because it's voluntary.
All right.
Well, I may be being dense here, but I've got a question too. Now, is this for people that have been arrested by law enforcement?
Well, here it's an alternative to having to be arrested. The law enforcement officer would take them there or tell them, you know, we've got the crisis unit or the jail.
But it's going to be someone that a police officer has picked up.
Yes, sir.
And they're going to be somewhere where there is no police supervision or no one on duty?
There are plenty of people on duty.
I'm not talking about psychiatrists. I'm
No, I
talking about
understand.
a very qualified police officer that's on duty Because this is not someone in the general public that we're providing a place for that has mental issues. This is someone that the law has picked up.
Right.
And if they pick me up, if I've done something, I'm gonna say, no, I'd rather go there.
It's completely voluntary, the person can leave.
That's what I mean.
Right, so the law enforcement is not gonna leave until it's for sure he's gonna stay. I mean, he can leave at any time.
One other question, but you also said that they will be able to leave when they want to?
Yeah, it's voluntary.
It takes them in, but they can leave when they want to.
Yep, they can. They'll be immediately picked up.
Well, and that's another question I have is that...
Margie's next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just with Larry. If I know that I've got a choice when I get arrested,
Right.
I'll be crazy as hell. And I'll go over there, well, I don't think I want to be here. Let it go.
No, you don't let him go. Then the law officer takes him back.
What if he's already made it back to Carroll County?
Right.
And he's taken 3 hours, oh, sorry.
No, he wouldn't come back until that person has agreed to be there and went through all that process, right?
Mr. Hicks is next.
I just want to say, I don't know if we have the resources to be doing that, back and forth.
That's completely up to you guys. I don't know, but sure.
Ms. Farrell?
Well, I'm not 100% sure about the process, but my understanding is, it would be someone like somebody's creating a disturbance, like hasn't committed an actual, necessarily a crime, like the police are called because somebody's...
Disturbing the peace.
Right, and so now the police are kind of in a or the sheriff's department, as in our case, are the circumstances of they either are going to go lock this person up when they maybe haven't really committed a crime other than they're flipping out, so to speak, which is derogatory language, I'm sorry, but just to make it quicker and easier to talk about, it's a place to go get them stabilized, calm down, and if they don't want to be there, they don't get just released into the general public, they get picked up by law enforcement, is that correct?
I'm sure it's a case-by-case basis, but, yeah, the person who, that the law enforcement picks up, it's because they are having a mental breakdown. It's not because they're so violent and we all think that's crazy. That's not the same thing.
It's up to the sheriff's department.
Larry's next.
First of all, I'm not against the concept of this, of the $40 a day and having a plate and entering into agreement with the other counties, because each county can't afford to do this itself.
Right.
So I'm all for all that. But there's so many different stages of the nervous breakdown.
Right.
That can take somebody in there that's a danger to the other people. I know you're gonna have supervisors there, but I still believe if law enforcement picks them up, that there should be law enforcement there after they're delivered.
Okay, well, I will check into that, but I want to tell you that the staff is not going to put themselves or the people they serve in jeopardy in any way.
Don?
Working in a retail store, I see people coming in there that's been on drugs so long that they're kind of crazy. They are pretty violent sometimes, and plus they're just kind of crazy because they burn themselves out on drugs. What are you going to do about those kind of people?
Like I said, it's just going to be a case-by-case business.
The sheriff is here, and the sheriff has mentioned that several of these people have been trained. So how is the sheriff's office going to make that determination if a person should stay here in Carroll County or if they should go to this new center?
Do you want me to address that? Well, for one thing, we're not talking about a landslide of people going from Carroll County to Fayetteville. We do have people that come into our presence, and we know that they're not criminals. They're there because they're having some sort of a mental problem. And while we might be able to recognize mental problems, we can't diagnose them. We can't treat them. And we'd rather not keep them in our facility any longer than we have to. The transport thing, that could get to be a bit of a problem, especially if we have to sit there an inordinate amount of time waiting until somebody figures out Are they a keeper or are they not?
Well, that's one thing we're trying to really compress. It shouldn't take too long.
Yeah, you folks would really have to understand, we don't have a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
anytime someone's out of pocket, somebody's gotta be filling that pocket.
Yeah.
What was the question the reason I'm standing here?
To make the determination versus whether a person should stay here or over there.
Well,
How do you?
I don't know, do we have it in mind, folks, to train everybody in this course, 40-hour course? Because there's always someone different on duty. We've got 2 people now that supposedly, after their training, would somewhat be able to say, yeah, we probably ought to send that one over there if they're willing to go. I had a question earlier, and I spoke with the lady about, it had to do with the money involved. If we come in contact, one of the deputies come into contact with a person who is not a criminal, they've not done anything criminal except maybe exhibiting a little peculiar behavior, but we're called, we have to deal with it.
John?
Sheriff, in your opinion, is this needed by your department?
Yes, it's needed when it's needed. Believe me. You just have to go and sit around the jail for a while and figure out, you could probably figure out for yourself when it's needed. We need it, if we can afford to do it. Anyway.
Yeah, and my guess is that you all aren't gonna send very many people over. I really don't think so, because it is an unusual case, especially in a smaller population.
Well, that's what I was trying to get across, it is for the unusual case.
Yeah.
Not a whole herd of people going.
I would suggest that we move on, because we got an ordinance on the table to discuss the same thing in a little bit later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you guys for thinking about it.
Thank you.
Next item is old business, second reading of the ordinance. Would you read that?
I will. An ordinance amending ordinance 1994-16, the tax for Highland Park Subordinate Service District to reflect a change in the annual assessment levy for the year 2019.
Move to.
Chuck moved to adopt, anyone second? Larry second.
This is an ordinance to lower the amount of money that's been taken. It's being taken out on a yearly basis. So I recommend that we adopt it.
Any questions?
Basically dissolving it. When the money is all spent, they have to keep the commission together so they can decide how to spend the money. Once it's spent, it'll dissolve. Okay.
Anyone else? Call for the vote.
J.P. Deaton?
Yes.
J.P. Olson?
Yes.
J.P. Farrell?
Yes.
J.P. Johnson?
Yes.
J.P. Phillips?
Yes.
J.P. Hicks?
Yes.
J.P. Matt? Yes. J.P. McNeely?
Yes.
J.P. Hall?
Yes.
J.P. Swafford?
Yes.
J.P. Howerton?
Yes.
Judge,
Yes.
I'd like to suspend the rules and go to the third reading of this ordinance.
Do I hear a second on that? Jack, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You read it again, Ms. Connie?
Well, an ordinance amending ordinance 1994-16, the tax for Highland Park Subordinate Service District to reflect a change in the annual assessment levy for the year 2019.
Move to accept.
Chuck moved to adopt, who's second?
Second.
That's Kelly. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
J.P. Deaton?
Yes.
J.P. Olson?
Yes.
J.P. Farrell? Yes. J.P. Johnson?
Yes.
J.P. Phillips?
Yes.
J.P. Hicks?
Yes.
J.P. Matt? Yes. J.P. McNeely?
Yes.
J.P. Hall?
Yes.
J.P. Swafford?
Yes.
And J.P. Howerton?
Yes.
Next item is new business. C, would you read that, please? Ms. Connie?
supplemental appropriation ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-46, the 2019 budget ordinance, and appropriating funds to the court security grant fund.
Move to adopt.
Matt moved to adopt, do I hear a second?
I did.
Jack, second.
I've asked
Any
Ramsey.
discussion?
Oh, sorry, sir.
And who was the second? I'm sorry.
Jack.
Thank you.
Jack, Matt?
I've asked Ramsey kind of explain what was going on here. If you can allow him to speak, please.
Okay.
About 2 months ago, Chief Justice Dan Kemp of the Arkansas Supreme Court came to Carroll County and made a presentation. And as a part of that, he told those of us who were here that there was a grant available for court security. And so Judge Jackson and I thought about it a little bit, but the person who really got the ball rolling was actually Gastineau out of Green Forest. She wants a new window, a bulletproof window for their new court, for the new office in Green Forest. And so Judge Jackson and I met with Ashley, and we came up with 4 projects we'd like to have funded and that we requested a grant for. One is upgraded internet system for this courtroom so that we can use video between this courtroom and the jail and the prisons to hopefully cut down on some transportation and save some money and have better security by being able to do some things by video. Second, we asked for the windows here in Berryville District Court and in Green Forest. And right now there are no panic buttons in Eureka Springs, so we've asked for the money for a panic button for the courtroom and for the district clerk and the circuit clerk in Eureka Springs. We put that together, Ashley did the work and sent in the application, and lo and behold, it was granted. It's a little over $12,000. It has to be used for those specific purposes. There were some parameters that couldn't be used for personnel costs, it had to be used for hard costs. And it was granted, and we would like to, I don't know how the formalities work here. The money came to Carroll County, and I guess this is the way that maybe it gets spent. But the money has to be used for those specific purposes, and we have to do it by the end of the year, and then we'll file a report with the Arkansas Supreme Court Security Office and wrap it up. So that's the back story on this.
Jack?
And the way they're gonna handle this is it's gonna be dispersed out of the treasurer's office, so the money gets spent exactly where it's supposed to, and there's gotta be a closure letter at the end of it.
Yes.
And we're gonna take care of all the legalities of it, so.
Yes, it's my understanding we're going to tell the vendors that they have to submit a vet voucher to the county to get paid, and then, yes, at the end, we will wrap it up with a nice report to, in January to Little Rock.
Don?
Do you have a coordinator that's gonna take care of, make sure these are done like it's supposed to be done?
Ashley's going to coordinate the paperwork. I don't know how East Little Project's going to be coordinated. I imagine that's probably me.
Because we ordered the full report one time, and left it up to the companies to do stuff, and they didn't do stuff.
So I'll make sure the district court stuff gets done. I'll let Judge Jackson do the stuff on the circuit court. I'll tell Judge Jackson that tomorrow. Thank you. All right?
Kelly?
If he's only got to the end of the year, that's only basically 5 months to get this done in, so.
Correct.
I guess you're gonna have to get, estimates on all this?
We've already got estimates.
Oh, good, okay.
That's what we have to submit to get the grant.
That's right.
So we got the vendors, we got the estimates, we just need to schedule the work and make sure they get paid.
Call for the vote.
Thank you.
J.P. Deaton?
Yes.
J.P. Olson?
Yes.
J.P. Farrell? Yes. J.P. Johnson?
Yes.
J.P. Phillips?
Yes.
J.P. Hicks?
Yes.
J.P. Matt?
Yes.
J.P. McNeely?
Yes.
J.P. Hall?
Yes.
J.P. Swafford?
Yes.
J.P. Howard?
Yes.
Next is B, would you read that, Ms. Connie, please?
A supplemental appropriation ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-46, the 2019 budget ordinance, and appropriating funds to 4800 Central Dispatch Capital Project Fund.
Move to adopt.
Jack moved it out, Matt second. Any discussion? Jack?
This was just, it's kind of like a reimbursable expenditure earlier, we got the money back, and there was a little misunderstanding between 911 and central dispatch. It got put in the wrong line item. We just had to move it back to the correct one, which is 4,800 for central dispatch capital improvements. And so that's why it's moved into the right location now, so.
Anyone else? Call for the vote?
J.P. Deaton?
Yes.
J.P. Olson?
Yes.
J.P. Farrell? Yes. J.P. Johnson?
Yes.
J.P. Phillips?
Yes.
J.P. Hicks?
Yes.
J.P. Mack? Yes. J.P. McNeely?
Yes.
J.P. Hall?
Yes.
J.P. Swafford?
Yes.
And J.P. Howerton?
Yes.
Next item of business is E. Would you read it, Ms. Connie, please?
A supplemental appropriation ordinance amending ordinance 2018-46, the 2019 budget ordinance, and appropriating funds for the following purpose.
Move to adopt.
Chapman moved to adopt.
Second.
Don second. Any discussion? Jack?
We discussed this in the last meeting, with what we've done with the county. We run out of money, we're down to, I think, just a little over $1,000. We've got bids in now on taking care of the clerk's office, and we'll be dealing with bids next week on finishing the outside of the building and getting it all sealed, a couple of little projects, and we just need more money in that account to do so. And y'all agreed the last time around that we just want to continue doing what we've done, updating the building and getting it fixed. And I will continue keeping you abreast on what we're going on and how much money we spend.
Anyone else? Call for the vote?
J.P. Deaton?
Yes.
J.P. Olson?
Yes.
J.P. Farrell? Yes. J.P. Johnson?
Yes.
J.P. Phillips?
Yes.
J.P. Hicks?
Yes.
J.P. Mack?
Yes.
J.P. McNeely?
Yes.
J.P. Hall?
Yes.
J.P. Swafford?
Yes.
J.P. Howerton?
Yes.
Next is F. Would you read that, Ms. Connie, please?
An ordinance stating the approval of the Carroll County Quorum Court for the county judge to enter into an interlocal agreement with Washington County. So this is what I'd asked, move to adopt, sorry.
Who moved to adopt? Ms. Farrell? Who second?
I do.
Larry?
You said Larry?
Yes. Larry, yes.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
Did somebody else, I didn't hear anybody else.
I was just, this is what I'd asked the woman to speak with us about earlier. She was, and I kind of failed to mention, she was part of the organization that kind of helped create the situation, but it's been widely, lauded by the governor, and he went to the opening on Friday, and law enforcement throughout the region. I see how there's some questions, but I think basically we just have a situation where often law enforcement is called when just somebody's acting peculiar or something, and something needs to kind of be done about it, and instead of carting them off to jail, there's a place to go and get them some help, and our jails don't need to be full of people that aren't really there for having committed a crime, and we have enough, jails have enough issues to deal with, and people who are having mental illness problems should be treated instead of criminalized, and the jails just don't need to be dealing with it. So.
Mr. Hicks?
I think there's a few unknowns here. I do think it's eventually needed. There are people in the jail I know that could use this, whether they take it or not, you don't know. There's a lot of unknowns to me as of who's gonna pay the daily fee. Is the county gonna pay it? Are they gonna try to charge the different departments who brought the person in? We don't know. Who's gonna make the call whether or not they go over there? I don't think it's gonna happen on the side of the road. That's not gonna happen. They're not gonna say, hey, do you wanna go here, or do you wanna go to jail? That's not gonna happen. And, you know, do we have to go pick these people up when they're released? You know, are we still responsible for them? There's a lot of unknowns right now, I think.
Jack?
The main thing the Quorum Court, I think, looks into is basically, you know, the cost, $40 a day. But we're paying $51 a day now if we incarcerate somebody. Secondly, all we're doing is giving the judge approval to sign the contract. I would suggest if this passes, that the judge spend some time with city police and the county sheriff to get their input before he signs the agreement. That's my suggestion. But anyway, I had three concerns on the thing was the length of time. If got standard a year, we're spending $1,200 on them, you know. Well, 72 hour hold is all it is. After 72 hours, we're going to discharge or whatever. Now, I didn't know what the minimum was when we was talking earlier. They said 24 hours. That's the concerns I have on the thing, and I know Kelly went over and got her opinion on the thing, and I know the sheriff has been over there. But as far as the Quorum Court's agreement, you know, mainly we look at the money and things like this, and we're just giving him our opinion to do it. But, and I'll go along with it. I think I've had my questions answered, but there again, like I said, I'd hope the judge would discuss this with other law enforcement before he signs it.
Larry?
You know me, I can be the what-if guy sometimes. But if we enter into an agreement with Washington County, and we send one or two people a month over there, and they send one or two people a day, because now I don't know how Washington County runs, but I know how Benton County runs, and their jail population stays up for between 300 and 400 people all the time. If we're in an agreement with them and something happens in there with the prisoner, and there's a big lawsuit, how are we gonna be standing when we're in an agreement with this, when we're using a fraction of it and somebody else is using it more? But are we gonna share equal in the liability of it?
Kelly?
That's the safety thing I was concerned about with that too. If someone gets hurt, you know, and then we're a part of this, we're gonna get sued. But also this interlocal, does that mean we can't get out of it? That means once we sign in with this thing, we're just stuck with it? And we can't get out of it?
Marty?
2 or 3 years, we decide it's not working?
Marty's next.
I worked in mental health for 22 years. Yeah, know kind of how people act. And when the word gets out that you got this and that, what do you think they're going to take? We'll be paying $40 a day. You know, there'll be people over there that don't need it because they have the choice.
John's next.
How much do you know about the questions we're raising here? What have you been told or taught?
I'm listening. Judge?
My question is where are we gonna get the money for the $40 a day? Now, is that gonna come out of the detention center funds? You know what I mean? Because we're saying we either have to put a person here or there, right? So, and if it's 51 here and $40 there, we may wanna send more than one. That's not, oh, seriously, is this gonna have to be a separate fund, to pay for these people, or can we use existing money? Do we know that?
Don?
I remember back in the old days, they just used to take somebody out of your county and let them out.
I don't know if I'm following that.
Can't go there about where that place is?
You know, this is something that I see that we need to do sometime. We need to take care of the people with mental health problems. We can't afford to have a place of our own for that one or two people a month. But I've got so many questions on this and I don't see enough police present supervision. And without that, I do worry about the lawsuits that could be brought on the county. Because now you know, it's not just in the jails, you know, over there you've got a lot of jailhouse lawyers too. That's all they've got to do is sit there and think of ways to sue you. These gentlemen put up with it every day. And you know, we send somebody over there and they leave on their own, that we picked up in a patrol car and we took them over there and then they stayed for part of the day or whatever and decided to leave.
Chuck?
I believe that this is what we should do. We need to pass this ordinance. I think this is the movement of the future. We need to get these people the care that they need. How all these details, like Larry, and everyone else has been, and Kelly are talking about, will be worked out. They will all be worked out. So, my feeling is we should adopt it.
Chuck?
Would everybody feel comfortable if we table this for another month, give you a chance to study? You got some documentation of what they're talking about doing, and give everybody a chance to look at it a little bit longer, and talk to the sheriff, talk to Mr. Alden back there in the attorney's office, whatever, and get your questions answered before we pass this thing, if you feel better about it.
Is there a timeline for when we?
Well, anybody second that, to table it? Kelly seconded it.
I'm sorry, give me that again.
Huh?
We're tabling it, who did what?
Jack made a motion to table it.
And then Kelly?
Kelly seconded. Any discussion on that? Yes, ma'am.
Is there a timeline that we're under as far as when we have to sign the agreement?
I saw a June 15th date here for something.
Chuck?
I just think we need to talk to the sheriff's office and say if they feel comfortable with it, then, you know, we should be okay. But we haven't asked them their opinion.
Anyone else?
I'm talking about the $40 of over there, but taking over there with our cars and our patrol line is gonna cost a whole lot more than $40. So it's gonna cost more than the $51 we get here to take them over there, because we're gonna have to pay the salary of the person takes them, and the car and the gas and everything else, get them over there, and go back and get them. So it's that $40 is gonna be the least amount of cost.
Can I answer the question, Ms. Earl? The way I understand it, they're asking us to partner with them. They own the deal, they run the deal. They're offering us a chance to partner with them to house our inmates that might need psychological help.
So it's kind of open-ended, is that what you're saying? As far as the timeline, when we enter into an agreement, it's open-ended, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, if you don't meet the timeline, then no, you don't want to be part of the system.
But what I'm asking is there a timeline? Are you aware of one?
I don't see one on here.
You got a copy of the contract?
Yeah,
I didn't see no timeline, but if they are, if we don't make it, we won't be a part of the system. Any more discussion?
I'd like to discuss, I guess I'm asking a question whether, can we continue to, if we do table it, which I'm starting to agree with, but can we continue to discuss it today so that we know more what our questions and what some of the issues are before we table it? Can we continue to discuss it a little longer?
I know there's a vote to table it. The second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm not here to answer a bunch of questions. I'm here to preside over the meeting. I do not have a vote. Next item of business is JP comment. John?
Tim, a couple of years ago, we had citizens come in and complain about dogs in the neighborhood and everything. And, at that time, I went out and visited with the guy, and he had all dogs out back barking their heads off. And, we told him that, I asked him about doing something about it. At that time, we didn't know about any ordinances that the county had. Well, this is Natasha G, I guess her name is, looked up and found an ordinance that actually prohibits somebody to have a pile of dogs in the backyard, kind of like a kennel or something. And it's ordinance 8635, and animal shelters, animal kennels are situated 1/4 mile from any residence or neighborhood, so that's what the ordinance states. And then, if this guy, we're gonna have to talk to him about it, the sheriff has already been out there, to look at it, talk to him. There, in the words, has fines, that any person, firm, or corporation found in violation of the provisions of this ordinance shall be deemed guilty of this misdemeanor and will be fined $100 a day, and this shall be continued in violation for every day thereafter. And any person, firm, or corporation shall be assessed a fine $100 a day until the violation is cured. So, at the time, you know a little bit about this, said that this is 1986, when they passed this, and the judge didn't sign it, Mr. Farmer, he never signed it, and then Mr. Allgood found out that it's not signed in 7 days, it becomes law, unless it's been vetoed, and wasn't vetoed, and so this is a law, but it's kind of been known for anybody else that might come across this problem. I talked to the landlord, because he's wanting this guy to move, because I think he's relatives to him, and he was supposed to buy the place, but he didn't come up with the proper financing. This has been going on several years, and he knows there's thousands of dollars of damage has been done, because I think there's like $13 inside the house. And so anyway, I will be approaching him with one of the deputies pretty soon, but the landlord wanted me to ask to write a letter and tell him that we're going to enforce this law, and he will be, and he has a copy of this, and he will be a $100 fine until it's secured, until he gets rid of the dogs, moves out, or whatever. And then the other second one, I asked Mr. Alfred to look at it, is a trash issue. We've had, I had people call me one time about over in Ruddle Road that they had a neighbor that was renting off to somebody, and they say they were making a crack in the house and throwing all the trash out the yard, and they'd blow in their yard. But anyway, I tried to look around and find out anything about that. But this G also found out in 1995, we passed the ordinance 9531 that talks about trash in your yard, and it talks about even vehicles, broken down vehicles and things like that. And I've got Mr. Alvin looking at it right now. He's going to find out, because it's kind of questionable if anybody would actually held accountable for it. Because the landlord can't be held accountable for what a renter does on the trash. But Mrs. D, when they bought this house, they found 20 bags of garbage on their property side, and of course they had the people who lived there, name, addresses, and all the stuff put in there, and so they had it cleaned up and paid for it. But there's also, just for you guys' information, to let you know that if you have someone in your constituents calling you about someone's trash, it's not just litter, it's actual litter and trash deal, so it's kind of interesting to find out that she did a good job finding these ordinances that we need to know about. Thank you.
And you guys, if you have a comment on the different item. Marty?
I'm gonna go ahead and get started, secure the room to have a meeting and get some registered letters up to these guys, put it in the paper, and I think that's the way to go about it. Well, y'all think, getting everybody involved, it's, whatever.
Thank you. Jack? You have different subject?
Just comment on, I don't think we've got that much power is what we do, but what your suggestion on that is gonna be, I think, the right way to go.
I don't think we're allowed to discuss that. JP Island's different.
Wasn't on the agenda. I do have a question.
Yes.
On the airport, is this a thing privately owned? Hangars up there?
Yes. Yeah.
So the privately owned hangars sitting on the county property? How does that?
It was done years and years ago. They've got a deed on it.
Are we insured?
That, I don't know.
Sure.
That's one of my constituents, opinion, who wants to build a hangar on the lake. And it's apparently standard procedure, it's a land lease that they have in county, they make. And generally there's a fee involved, and then there's a time period involved. So it is something that they do.
Thank you. Anyone else on a different subject? If not, about a week and a half ago, or two, one of our drivers overturned one of our county trucks. We're waiting on the insurance company, don't know whether they're gonna tow it or not. Also, we had a sale Saturday at the road department selling some old equipment that we didn't use anymore. Williams Auction Service, we went in contract with them. They advertised it in the paper for 2 weeks. He doesn't have everything ready for me yet, but he said it grossed just a little over $38,000. He'd have all my reports in by next Friday, so next Quorum Court day I can present you that, or maybe email it to you before. Other than that, nothing else. I'd really appreciate it, or to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.